Alex Turner stood nervously at the front of the classroom, his eyes darting around at the diverse alien faces staring back at him. The room was a marvel of advanced technology, with holographic displays floating in midair, projecting intricate diagrams and information. The prestigious Intergalactic Academy was unlike anything Alex had ever seen on Earth. "Class, please welcome our new student from Earth, Alex Turner," announced Professor Grex, a tall, imposing figure with shimmering blue skin and multiple eyes that seemed to peer into Alex's soul. Alex hails from what many of you know as Hellworld, renowned for its harsh environment and resilient inhabitants. A murmur of curiosity and skepticism rippled through the room. Alex swallowed hard, trying to steady his nerves. "Hi, everyone. I'm Alex," he began, his voice wavering slightly. "I'm from Australia on Earth, and, it's great to be here." Professor Grex gestured for him to continue. "Why don't you share a bit about your experiences on Earth?" I'm sure the class would find it enlightening. Taking a deep breath, Alex launched into one of his most dramatic stories. "One time, I was caught in a massive sandstorm in the Australian outback. The winds were so fierce they could strip the paint off a car. Visibility was zero, and the temperature dropped rapidly. I had to find shelter quickly. I remembered my training and found a rock formation that provided some cover. I used my jacket to create a makeshift tent and huddled inside, waiting for the storm to pass." The class listened intently, some with expressions of awe, others with skeptical smirks. The storm lasted for hours, but I managed to survive using what I'd learned from my parents and local survivalists. It's all about staying calm and using your surroundings to your advantage. As Alex finished, a student with green scales and bright yellow eyes raised a hand. "I'm Laura." "That sounds intense, but how do we know it's true?" "Earth sounds exaggerated." Alex felt a flash of irritation but kept his voice steady. "You don't have to believe me, Laura. But I'm here to share my experiences and learn from yours." Professor Grex interjected. "Thank you, Alex. Now, class, we have an important group project coming up. You'll be working in teams to navigate a simulated crisis scenario. This will test your ability to think on your feet and work together under pressure." The announcement sparked a flurry of whispers. Alex found himself grouped with Lara, Zorak, a tall, muscular alien with a constant sneer, and a few others. As they moved to their assigned station, the tension was palpable. "I hope your stories are more than just tales, Hellworlder," Zorak muttered, his tone dripping with sarcasm. Alex met his gaze evenly. "You'll see soon enough." Their simulation began in a dense, carnivorous forest. The towering trees loomed ominously, and strange, predatory plants snapped at their heels. Alex immediately recognized the similarities to the dangerous flora of Earth's rainforests. "Stay close and watch your step," he instructed. "These plants are probably more dangerous than they look." Lara, still skeptical but willing to cooperate, followed his lead. Zorak, however, seemed determined to undermine Alex at every turn. "Why should we listen to you? You're just a human." "Because I've faced similar threats before," Alex replied calmly. "And if we don't work together, we won't get through this." As they ventured deeper into the simulation, the environment grew more treacherous. Vines with barbed thorns dangled from above, and the ground was littered with hidden pits. Alex's keen eye for danger and quick thinking helped them avoid several potential disasters. "Watch out!" Alex shouted, grabbing Lara's arm and pulling her back just as a massive carnivorous plant snapped shut where she'd been standing. "These plants are triggered by movement. We need to move slowly and deliberately." Even Zorak had to admit that Alex's instincts were sharp. "Fine, Hellworlder. Lead the way. But this doesn't mean I trust you." They continued their cautious advance, each step calculated. Alex used his knowledge of Earth survival tactics to navigate the perilous landscape. The tension in the group began to ease slightly as they saw the value in Alex's leadership. Just when they thought they were making progress, the simulation threw a new challenge their way. The ground began to tremble, and a deafening roar echoed through the forest. A monstrous creature, larger than anything they had ever seen, appeared on the horizon, heading straight for them. Alex's heart pounded in his chest. "We need to find cover and come up with a plan," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. This isn't like the plants. This thing is a predator, and we're in its territory. The group scrambled to find a defensible position as the creature closed in. Alex's mind raced, trying to devise a strategy to outsmart the beast. The simulation's intensity left no room for doubt or hesitation. As they took shelter behind a large rock formation, Alex looked at his teammates. "We can do this. We just need to stay calm and work together. Trust me." Lara nodded, her earlier skepticism replaced by determination. Even Zorak seemed ready to follow Alex's lead, if only for the sake of survival. The dense foliage rustled ominously as Alex and his team huddled behind the rock formation, the monstrous creature's roars echoing through the simulated forest. The ground shook with each of its thunderous steps, sending vibrations through the air and into their bones. Alex's mind raced, searching for a strategy to keep them alive. "We need to figure out its weaknesses," Alex whispered, his voice steady despite the fear gripping his heart. "Lara, can you scan it with your tech? We need to know what we're dealing with." Lara nodded, her hands trembling slightly as she activated her wrist-mounted scanner. The device emitted a soft hum, casting a blue light over the foliage. "Got it. It's a Chthorian devourer. Extremely territorial, high resilience, and it's weak to sonic disruptions." Zorak scoffed, but there was a hint of respect in his eyes. "And where we get a sonic disruptor in the middle of this hellscape?" Alex's eyes narrowed as he surveyed their surroundings. "We improvise. Lara, any chance your scanner can be modified to emit a sonic frequency?" "It's possible, but it would take time," Lara replied, her fingers already working on the device. "We need to keep it at bay until I can finish." Zorak grunted, flexing his muscular arms. "Guess that means it's up to us, Hellworlder. What do you have in mind?" "We need to create a distraction," Alex said, his mind piecing together a plan. "Zorak, you and I will lure it away from Lara. We need to keep it moving, make it think we're easy prey." With a reluctant nod, Zorak agreed, and they prepared for the task. Alex grabbed a sturdy branch from the ground, testing its weight. It wasn't much, but it would have to do. "Ready?" "As I'll ever be," Zorak muttered, the skepticism in his voice overshadowed by a newfound determination. They darted out from behind the rock, waving their arms and shouting to draw the creature's attention. The devourer's massive head turned towards them, its red eyes glowing with predatory intent. With a deafening roar, it charged. "Come on, you oversized lizard!" Alex shouted, sprinting through the underbrush. Zorak kept pace beside him, their movements coordinated and deliberate. The forest blurred around them as they ran, the creature crashing through the trees in relentless pursuit. Alex's heart pounded in his chest, but he pushed the fear aside, focusing on the plan. "This way," he yelled, leading Zorak towards a narrow ravine. As they reached the edge, Alex leapt, grabbing onto a vine and swinging across the gap. Zorak followed, his powerful legs propelling him over the chasm. The devourer skidded to a halt, momentarily confused by the sudden obstacle. "Lara, how's it going?" Alex called through his communicator, his voice strained from the exertion. "Almost there," Lara responded, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Just a few more adjustments." The devourer roared again, its frustration palpable as it searched for a way to cross. Alex and Zorak used the momentary reprieve to catch their breath, their eyes locked on the creature. "We need to keep it distracted a little longer," Alex said, determination in his eyes. "Let's make some noise." They began throwing rocks and shouting, drawing the creature's attention back to them. It growled, its massive form quivering with anger as it prepared to leap across the ravine. Alex's pulse quickened, knowing they were running out of time. "Lara, now would be a good time," he shouted, desperation creeping into his voice. "Done!" Lara's triumphant voice crackled through the communicator. "I've set the scanner to emit a high-frequency sonic pulse. It should disrupt the devourer long enough for us to escape." "Do it," Alex commanded. A high-pitched whine filled the air, growing in intensity until it became almost unbearable. The devourer roared in pain, its massive form shaking as the sonic waves hit it. It stumbled, its predatory instincts overwhelmed by the disorienting sound. "Go, go, go!" Alex yelled, motioning for Zorak to follow him back across the ravine. They sprinted through the forest, their movements synchronized with years of survival experience. As they reached Lara's position, she deactivated the scanner, the forest falling silent once more. The Devourer, now disoriented and enraged, retreated into the shadows, its threat temporarily neutralized. "We did it!" Alex panted, a triumphant smile spreading across his face. Zorak, catching his breath, nodded in grudging respect. "Not bad, Hellworlder." "Not bad at all." Lara looked at Alex, her eyes filled with newfound admiration. "You really know your stuff, Alex. We couldn't have done it without you." Alex felt a surge of pride and relief, but he knew this was just the beginning. "Let's get out of here. This simulation is far from over." As they moved forward, the forest began to change, the environment shifting to reveal new challenges and dangers. Alex's mind was already working on their next move, determined to lead his team to victory. The forest's dense canopy loomed above, casting eerie shadows that danced across the ground as Alex and his team advanced. Each step was calculated, every sound scrutinized. The earlier encounter with the Cathorian Devourer had left their nerves frayed, but their resolve stronger. "We need to stay sharp," Alex whispered, his eyes scanning the surroundings. "The simulation might throw something even worse at us." Lara nodded, her hands gripping the modified scanner. "Let's hope this thing holds up. If we face another Devourer, we might not be so lucky." Zorak, trailing slightly behind, grunted. "Just keep leading the way, Hellworlder. We've got your back." Their cautious march led them to a clearing where the forest gave way to a rocky terrain. The ground was uneven, covered in jagged stones and treacherous pits. Alex's instincts screamed danger, and he signaled for the group to halt. "Wait," he said, kneeling to examine the ground. "This place is a death trap. We need to be careful." Lara crouched beside him, her eyes wide. "What do you see?" "Pressure plates," Alex replied, pointing to subtle indentations in the earth. "One wrong step, and we trigger a cascade of boulders. We need to find a safe path." Zorak scoffed, but followed Alex's lead, carefully placing his feet where Alex indicated. The tension was palpable as they navigated the hazardous terrain, each movement deliberate and measured. Halfway through, the silence was shattered by a distant rumble. The ground trembled and the air filled with a low, menacing growl. Lara's scanner beeped erratically, signaling an approaching threat. "Another creature?" Zorak asked, his voice tight with anticipation. Alex shook his head, his expression grim. "Worse, it's a landslide. We need to move, now." With renewed urgency, they quickened their pace, darting across the treacherous ground. The rumble grew louder, the rocks beneath their feet shifting dangerously. Alex's heart pounded as he led the team through the maze of pressure plates. They reached the other side just as the landslide hit, a torrent of rocks cascading down and obliterating their previous path. Alex's chest heaved as he caught his breath, the enormity of their escape sinking in. "That was too close," Lara said, her voice shaky. "What's next?" Before Alex could respond, the air around them shimmered, and the simulation shifted again. The rocky terrain transformed into a vast, open desert, the sun blazing down from an unforgiving sky. "Great," Zorak muttered, wiping sweat from his brow. From one hellscape to another. Alex surveyed the new environment, his mind racing. "We need to find shelter and water. This heat will dehydrate us fast." They trudged through the desert, the relentless sun beating down on them. Each step was a struggle, the sand shifting beneath their feet. Alex's eyes scanned the horizon, searching for any sign of relief. After what felt like hours, they spotted a cluster of rocky outcrops in the distance. "There," Alex pointed. "We can take shelter and regroup." The rocks provided a welcome respite from the sun, their cool shadows a stark contrast to the scorching heat. The team collapsed gratefully, drinking the last of their water supplies. "We can't stay here long," Lara said, her voice hoarse. "We need to find water." Alex nodded, his mind already working on a plan. "I saw some vegetation a while back. There might be water nearby." "Zorak, you stay here with Lara. I'll scout ahead." No way, Zorak protested. We're not splitting up. It's too dangerous. We don't have a choice, Alex insisted. If we don't find water, we're done for. I'll be quick. Reluctantly, Zorak agreed, and Alex set off, his eyes peeled for any signs of water. The desert stretched endlessly, but Alex's determination drove him forward. He couldn't let his team down. Finally, he spotted a patch of green in the distance, a small oasis shimmering with the promise of life. Alex quickened his pace, his heart leaping with hope. He reached the oasis and fell to his knees, drinking deeply from the clear, cool water. As he filled his canteen, a sound behind him made him freeze. He turned slowly, his heart pounding. A creature, unlike any he had seen, stood at the edge of the oasis. It was massive, with scales that glinted in the sunlight and eyes that burned with an otherworldly intelligence. Alex's mind raced. He had to get the water back to his team, but the creature blocked his path. Summoning his courage, he stood and faced it. "I don't want to fight," he said, his voice steady. "But I need to get this water to my friends." The creature tilted its head, studying him. Then, with a surprising gentleness, it stepped aside, allowing Alex to pass. He breathed a sigh of relief and hurried back to his team. When he returned, Zorak and Lara's faces lit up with relief. "You found it," Lara exclaimed, taking the canteen from him. "We're not out of this yet," Alex said, glancing back at the oasis. "But we're getting there. Let's keep moving." The desert seemed less daunting now, their spirits lifted by the small victory. As they continued their journey, the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the sand. The heat subsided, replaced by a chilling breeze. "Night's falling," Zorak observed. "We need to find a safe place to camp." Alex nodded, his eyes scanning the horizon. "There's a cave up ahead. It should provide some protection." They reached the cave just as darkness enveloped the desert. Inside, it was cool and quiet, a welcome refuge from the harsh environment. They settled in, grateful for the chance to rest. The cave's cool interior was a temporary haven, a stark contrast to the harsh desert outside. Alex, Lara, and Zorak huddled around a small fire, their faces illuminated by its flickering light. The day's trials had forged an uneasy camaraderie among them, but the challenges were far from over. "We need to be ready," Alex said, his voice steady but low. "The simulation is pushing us harder each time. We can't afford to let our guard down." Lara nodded, her eyes reflecting the fire's glow. "Agreed, but we also need to rest. Exhaustion will only make us more vulnerable." Zorak, ever the skeptic, grunted his approval. "Fine, but we keep watches. I'll take the first shift." As Alex lay down to rest, his mind raced with strategies and contingencies. The simulation had tested their survival skills, but he sensed something greater was at play. There was a lesson hidden within the trials, one that required not just physical resilience, but also mental acuity. A sudden rumble jolted him awake. The cave trembled, and the ground beneath them shifted. Zorak's alarmed shout echoed through the cavern. "Get up! We've got company!" Alex scrambled to his feet, his heart pounding. At the cave entrance stood a colossal figure, its form silhouetted against the moonlit desert. The creature's eyes glowed with a menacing intensity, and its scales shimmered like molten metal. "It's a sentinel," Lara whispered, her voice tinged with fear. "A guardian of the desert. It's testing us." The sentinel advanced, its massive claws scraping the cave floor. Alex's mind raced. They couldn't hope to defeat it with brute force. They needed a plan. "Lara, can your scanner disrupt it like with the Devourer?" Alex asked, keeping his eyes on the approaching threat. Lara shook her head. "The sentinel is too advanced. We need another way." Alex glanced around the cave, his eyes settling on a narrow passage at the back. "We lure it into the tunnel. It's too big to maneuver in tight spaces. If we can trap it, we might have a chance." Zorak looked skeptical but nodded. "It's worth a shot. Let's move." They backed toward the passage, taunting the sentinel to follow. The creature lunged, its claws narrowly missing them as they darted into the narrow tunnel. The walls closed in around them, forcing the sentinel to squeeze through with difficulty. Keep moving, Alex urged, his voice echoing off the stone walls. The tunnel twisted and turned, a labyrinthine network that offered no clear escape. The sentinel's roars reverberated through the passage, a deafening cacophony that shook the ground. Alex's heart pounded as he led the group deeper into the maze, each step a calculated risk. "We need to find a dead end," he called back to Laura and Zorak. "If we can trap it, we might be able to disable it."